Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Joe Griffin on the line, and he is CEO over at TrueNorth Wealth. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, Joe. So excited to get into today's topic. So we'll talk about TrueNorth Wealth, where we'll talk about some of the work that you're doing with both surgeons and doctors, and we're going to talk about financial planning. I mean, we got a lot to cover today. And just to get us started, let's start with the mission question. So first off, Joe, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Joe, what mission matters to you?
Yeah, so at TrueNorth Wealth, we deal with high net worth individuals. So having the mantle and responsibility to manage wealth for these high net worth individuals, we take it extremely seriously. So what matters to us is helping our clients build and secure wealth. The way we view it is each client has built their net worth and has traded a significant amount of time, talent, and sacrifice to accumulate that wealth. We think it's an enormous responsibility to manage that wealth, knowing what was traded for that wealth, and certainly knowing how much each client has paid in taxes to accumulate the wealth that they have. So what matters to us is building and securing wealth and doing it in a way that each of our clients can retire knowing that their financial well-being is taken care of.
Man, that's awesome. Love bringing these mission-based entrepreneurs and businesses to our audience. So I'm excited to get more into what you're doing over at TrueNorth Wealth. And just to get us started, maybe, so tell me a little bit more about your background and how you got started on this path.
Yeah, I'm excited to answer your questions for today. Because I've listened to so many shows, I'll attempt to answer each of these questions with things that I think your viewership can take away, things that they can learn and apply. So part of my story for how I got started was certainly, like most other people, working through various jobs, going through college and my schooling. But when I look back, part of what I think is really important is knowing when to hold them and when to fold them with different companies. To me, there's a lot of wisdom and maturity in being able to start with a company and get down the line and figure out, is this really a place that's a good fit where I'm going to be able to grow and thrive and be challenged, or is this a dead end? And so part of my story is being able to go into different opportunities, different jobs. Lots of them I had amazing success with, but knowing, hey, this isn't a good fit as far as growth and opportunity. When I look back, I'm really glad that I was looking and balancing that out, so that I didn't kind of settle for some mediocre opportunity. So I'm grateful for where I am today. And part of that journey is knowing when to hold them and when to fold them.
Oh my gosh. Hearing that statement, I'm like, oh my gosh, I folded quite a few of them. I always tell people, so I'm like, I probably, since I was a kid, I should say, maybe 20 businesses in, and I'm like, okay, I got one that finally stuck. So thank you for everybody watching this right now for making Mission Matters stick. But nothing's guaranteed. So there's a lot of ups and downs, and you learn from the mistakes and the bumps and the bruises. So Joe, there's some younger entrepreneurs or some people that are maybe just getting started out there on their journey. I mean, what kind of advice would you give to that new breed of entrepreneurs that's really just getting their feet wet?
To your point, Adam, you naturally had to abort different opportunities knowing it wasn't a good fit. I had to do the same, and just keep pushing yourselves. There's lots of different opportunities out there, and each person's going to have to evaluate, is this an opportunity I should fold or an opportunity I should hold and grow and dig and push?
That's awesome. And so what do you think is that difference maker? Or what has it been for you, at least? So like when you think about like going through an opportunity and deciding, whether you're going to stick with it. And again, this is going to be different for everybody, right? And every opportunity. So everybody has to make their own personal decision on what they're going to do. But what do you think is kind of like that little difference maker that's like, I should stick with this one a little bit longer?
Yeah, you're exactly right. It will be different for everyone, but a couple of just key metrics I think that everyone can look at and review is how's the company doing? If the company's on track and doing really well and has a clear path that's been successful or that you think can be successful, then obviously you might want to buckle up and hold on and push and dig and help the company move forward, knowing that it's likely that they'll help you in your success if you help them.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be one of them. The next one I would say is, how does your manager view you? How does your leadership view you? If they view you as an asset to the team, if they view you as somebody that they believe in and trust, then that's an opportunity that you should likely hold on to. And if they're starting to view you or, hey, we don't really appreciate you, we don't value you, we don't see you, then that would be a hard opportunity to stick around for. That might be something that you want to consider folding. But I will say, before you give up on any one opportunity, you really have to give it a good shot. You're not going to walk into any organization, you're not going to walk into any company and just have some red carpet rolled out to, rising to the top. With any person that's successful, I guarantee almost anybody you've interviewed, they've all had a period where they've really had to grind and work hard and let the company take advantage of your hard work and your value and your skill, and then the reward comes back. It's very rarely that it happens the opposite way. So for anybody just starting, put in the time, grind, let the company succeed and be the victor of your hard work and success. And then it will likely come back around to you. And if it does come back around to you, then it's likely that they'll promote and appreciate you. And if you've felt like you've put in an adequate amount of time pushing and grinding, and they don't value, they don't see you, it's likely an opportunity you'll want to fold.
Great advice, by the way. I mean, I completely agree with it, and it's tricky. And when you're saying they don't roll out the red carpet, I'm like, what? It doesn't work like that, Joe? No, it doesn't, right?
Exactly.
That being said, let's get into TrueNorth Wealth. So, what was the inspiration behind starting this?
Yeah, the inspiration for TrueNorth Wealth started with our founder. His name is Marty Watkins. And it ultimately came from an environment where he wanted to start a company where the client's needs came first. So TrueNorth Wealth was founded in 2006. And before fee only or fiduciary was really a key word. And Adam, this is all your territory. You know some of this vocabulary and you know this space very well. So you understand what I'm saying. But before Dave Ramsey or White Coat Investor or some of these other groups were teaching the difference between a fee-only financial planner and a fiduciary versus commission-based advising, Marty was still leading with a company that was putting clients first. So as this education has come out around fee-only advisors, around fiduciaries, essentially this model, which many believe promotes putting the client first, we've already been doing that for decades.
That's pretty amazing. And maybe we should just briefly talk a little bit more about that, like the difference in kind of how that works. And just because not everybody's going to be aware, because some of these are still kind of buzzwords in terms of fee only and things like that. So maybe just a brief overview on what that landscape looks like.
So the way we would describe it, obviously other groups will disagree with us, and that's fine. But the way we would view it is essentially if we were on a fee-based or commission-based type environment, we would view it that it would be a little bit easier to generate quite a bit more revenue. Some of the products that are being sold and things like that, they pay a lot better. And I drive a different car likely if we were a commission-based or fee-based firm. Because we're fee only, we would submit to you and the listeners that we're actually generating quite a bit less revenue because we don't have the ability to generate a commission. So we believe that we're in a position where we're putting the client's best interests first, and that likely leads to less dollars earned, less revenue. And we're okay with that. We manage a little over $700 million, so we have the confidence and trust of quite a few clients. The way we believe we've earned that trust is by putting the client's needs ahead of our own, including how we're compensated.
So tell me a little bit more about the company itself, TrueNorth Wealth. So company culture, or just like let us look under the hood in terms of what you're doing there.
So at TrueNorth Wealth, we're dealing with high net worth individuals, whether it's executives, business owners. We love the high net worth environment because of the amount of complexity that's associated with each client. And because of that, we spend a lot of time on tax planning. So, and the short answer is we do money management. We do complete comprehensive financial planning. We are also involved with tax planning for each client. So we're going through their tax return. We certainly have no desire to file their tax return. We're not competing with their CPAs, but we would submit to you that every client needs a great CPA because they focus on the compliance side of things, but they also need help with tax planning. Where we spend our time is the strategy side of tax planning. And each of our client CPAs are generally focused on tax compliance. And we believe that each client needs both tax compliance and tax strategy.
So tell me a little bit more about what it looks like to scale a financial planning practice.
Yeah, so when I first started with the business, we managed about $300 million. So to certainly more than double that, including the number of clients that we serve, has certainly been quite the ride. We've led out with making sure that as we grow, that our customer service level to our existing clients never suffers because of that growth. And just from a business model, from business planning, that's actually been enjoyable to me to figure out how do we structure things, how do we move things, how do we build things so that we never compromise customer service for our existing book while still being grateful that we're growing as a business and a firm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenging situation, in my opinion, to grow a financial planning practice, but also to scale the workforce. Like, how important is the hiring side of things in your mission there?
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that I probably enjoy the most. Finding great people to come and be associated with our team, making sure that we're a good fit for them and they're a good fit for us. It's actually fun for me to kind of flush that out through the hiring process. We've added lots of people to the team. We have 6 advisors now. We have 4 different offices across multiple different states. And making sure that we're finding the right people to join our team has been really fun and challenging and something that I've enjoyed.
So now you have you're bringing on more talent, you're bringing on great advisors. The business is growing. It's at least the assets under management have doubled since you've been there. Tell me how like that mentoring process works at TrueNorth Wealth.
So we have mostly promoted from within. And so it's been fun to watch many of the people that started, some that were here as interns as they were going through college. And now several of those are either advisors or lead paraplanners. And so growing and developing our staff and our people has been amazing. I will say that one of the key things that we've matured and grown and developed in is just our communication style. So when I first started here, one of the things that I would say was a little bit unhealthy was just our communication style. There were lots of people that were frustrated for this reason or that reason, but there was never any clear communication or resolve. So a lot of people were bustling around the office, just frustrated and bothered, but there was no resolution. And so for us, one of the things that I've tried to implement being a part of the management team is mature communication. So for us, our existing culture now is one of open and respectful communication. And on the management side, that's really been checking our ego, right? So allowing our team members to come to us and suggest changes, that certain things aren't working well. So that responsible communication has been huge for our group. And it's been one of the driving factors for having strong client retention and one of the factors for having strong employee retention. And so to any of the listeners, many that I know are business owners or managers, getting your team to a place that you have respectful and open communication, it will change the dynamic around your office. and it will definitely promote having your employees actually enjoy coming to work as opposed to dreading it.
Amazing. So let's go further into the types of products that you offer. So we don't have to talk about like specifics. We're not making recommendations or investment advice today for everybody watching. So of course, for that type of thing, you wanted to consult with your individual tax advisor and financial planner. And of course, at the end of this, I'll give Joe the opportunity to leave the contact information for TrueNorth Wealth. So if you want to follow up with them, you can do that also and speak with an advisor. But speaking just in general, Joe, tell us a little bit more about the types of products that you offer.
So I've already mentioned that we do the financial planning, the money management side. I've mentioned the tax planning, but on top of that, I would say almost every one of our clients is uniquely busy. And uniquely busy means they don't really have time to really dig into many different areas of their financial life. Yeah. And so we hold them accountable to make sure that we review their estate plan. Is that up to date? Is it relevant? We go through every insurance policy that our clients own. I don't care if it's homeowners or their auto insurance, their umbrella policy. Because we deal with the medical field, we're diving into, do you have a disability policy? What is your life insurance policy like? And because we don't sell any of those products, we certainly think there's a need for them. We certainly think our clients should own them. We don't sell them. And often people will ask us why. Why don't you just sell them? You're missing an opportunity for some revenue there. Yeah. And the reason we don't is we want our clients to know that we don't have any financial incentive to recommend something like disability insurance. Should a physician have disability insurance? We would submit to you that absolutely they need that. But it doesn't mean they should buy the first policy that someone suggests to them. So having an advocate, having someone that will review each of these policies that's very familiar with it relative to their industry is extremely valuable. And so we're very much involved with everything related to our clients' lives. When our clients go to refinance their house, they send us the closing costs. And we review them and say, hey, this is a fair setup. This is a fair arrangement. Or we say, hey, we're a little troubled by this and here's why. Yeah. The last thing that we spend a ton of time around education. So oftentimes we'll bring on a new client and within 3 months, there'll be some level of volatility in the market and this client's nervous and panicked. If we're dealing with a long-term traditional client, even someone that's been with us just as short of a duration as 12 months, all of our clients have then gone through extensive education around their financial plan. We're dealing with very bright people. For example, you consider a physician or a surgeon, they're extremely intellectual, they're extremely sharp. And if we can take the time to help them understand how their financial plan works, how the money management side works, what they can expect from volatility in markets, what will we do when markets go up? What will we do as their advisors when markets go down? We educate each client on all of that. And so as markets rise or as markets fall, as they always have and always will, our clients know exactly what we're going to do on their financial accounts that will help to buy low and sell high. So spending the time that we do with each client around education is huge because all of our clients are interested in how the mechanics of their financial accounts work. And if we can help them understand that and teach them that, then when the wind blows in financial markets, they are undisturbed by the volatility because they know there's a plan.
So you mentioned a couple of times doctors and surgeons. So I believe that's one of your definitely focus areas at the firm, even though you can help anyone, of course, but I believe that you really have a specialty in that end of things. Tell me a little bit more about why you focus in that area, maybe some of their unique challenges.
So having a specialist, a firm that is built around the medical community, specifically doctors, it adds a ton of value because their financial plan, their financial life is extremely complicated. And so For example, as we've just gone through in the last little bit, we've gone through this coronavirus pandemic, and it's brought a lot of employment changes to our doctors. And so for us to be able to guide them through and help them with something as basic as an employment agreement, it actually adds a ton of value. So again, it goes back to every area of their financial life. We are going to be a resource to give them advice, to offer suggestions, to point out blind spots. And because we have advisors like Marty that have dealt with physicians for 35 years, there's no curveball that we're going to get that Marty hasn't seen. And so having an advocate like that that's going to review these things, and by the way, if you're a client of ours, there's no additional cost for this. So just a fast example, we had a doctor that emailed us and said, hey, I'm about to sign a lease agreement for a new office space. Would you look this over? So one of our advisors looked it over and actually flushed out 3 or 4 things that he was somewhat alarmed about. He brought that back to the client and said, I would not sign this agreement, and here's why. Well, the doctor went back and talked to the landlord about it and said, I'm uncomfortable with this document. Well, the landlord went to his legal team and said, hey, these guys aren't going to sign it. Here's why. And the legal team said, this agreement's 15 years old. We wouldn't sign this either. And give us some time. We want to come up with a new agreement. So had the doctor just signed that, he would have been signing some extremely unfavorable terms. So it goes to our resolve that anything that's relative to our client's financial life, we want to look it over, and there's no cost because we simply want what's best for our clients. We want them to succeed. We want them to build more wealth, and we want to be involved in that path of building and securing their wealth.
What are some of the unique challenges that the surgeons and doctors have, whether it's, from the insurance side, the behavioral science side of things, just in general? And again, of course, every doctor, every surgeon is going to be a little bit different, but having that niche and that specialty, I know certain themes tend to arise. What are some of those unique challenges they go through?
I would say the main one is just simply how trusting many physicians are. And it comes from their environment where they're spending tons of time offering great care, and people are trusting them. And so naturally, they can be a little bit vulnerable because they think that someone's going to come to them with the same type of care and pure intentions that most of them offer in their jobs. And that can be frustrating to even hear about for me, because I think, man, our physicians are doing a great job. They make a huge difference in our overall well-being as a community and as a country. Knowing how busy they are and knowing how hard they've had to work, how much sacrifice goes into each dollar they're able to save, especially after taxes. So that's one of the main things that we try to look out for our physicians, is making sure they don't get taken advantage of. And then the last point I'll make that I've made a couple of times is taxes. And I keep bringing that up, Adam, because if you think about it, we've never met with a client that hasn't had an enormous tax bill. When you consider what they're making on their last dollars earned, many of them are making less than 50 cents on the dollar. And that's somewhat alarming. And so anytime we can invoke some small change that will help a client reduce their tax bill, we can make an enormous difference in the amount of savings and the amount of money that they can accrue and save. And so that would be the next thing I would cite, is watching and keeping a close eye to make sure there's no opportunity to reduce taxes that we're missing. We just recently met with a group of ophthalmologists, and they were stunned that we offered several low-hanging ways that they could reduce their tax bill. And when we look at the impact of that change over their lifetime, it's huge. So focusing on tax planning, making sure that the physicians are not being taken advantage of, those are a couple of our key focuses.
Man, that's big time, Joe. I'll tell you. And when I was an advisor, once upon a time, I did have some physician and surgeon clients, and I'll tell you, it's exactly like you said. Like they're busy, they trust people sometimes, maybe sometimes they trust the wrong people. I mean, they're highly intelligent, but if you're a surgeon and you're focused on maybe saving somebody's life, if you're a trauma surgeon or something like that, and that's what you're doing all day, every day, like you need somebody to take care of you too on your end and on that money that you've earned, and to protect that, and taxes, everything you said. I mean, it's just true. Taxes, huge things. They're not getting some of the benefits that maybe as somebody that's out there as an entrepreneur is getting, right? So they have a different type of wage. So they're just, really being taxed. So what happens is any bit that working with a company like yours can do to help alleviate that burden really is a big deal. And sometimes there's some simple things that can be done. Sometimes it requires something a little bit more advanced, and that's where your team comes in, Joe, and on both sides of the thing, just to make sure that that the physician and surgeons' lives are being optimized from the tax side, from the investment side, from the insurance side. It's complicated. You can't do it by yourself. And just like they need a team to be in the operating room, you need a team in your financial life too. So I get it. And I'm a big fan of the work that you're doing over there, Joe. And so that being said, if somebody is watching this right now and they want more information, I know we talked a lot about physicians and surgeons today, but I know you can work with other types of clients also, and you bring the same level of care to those clients as well. But Joe, if somebody's listening to this and they want to follow up and learn more and to connect with your advisors, I mean, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so the best way is just to head to our website, TrueNorthWealth.com. Certainly your listeners are all over the country, and we would submit to you that especially nowadays with post-COVID, we're happy to take on any client regardless of where they live. Our fees are extremely competitive. I'm not familiar with another firm that does full, complete financial planning that has a lower rate, a lower fee than we do. And I'm proud of that. And a lot of that goes to us living our investment philosophy of staying low cost. So if any of your listeners are interested in even just getting a second opinion, they can head to TrueNorthWealth.com, and we offer a no-cost second opinion.
That's awesome. Well, Joe, again, thank you for coming on the show today. We'll put that website in the show notes so everybody can just click on it, and definitely head over to your site. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. We have many more mission-based entrepreneurs and businesses coming up for you next, and we don't want you to miss any of those. And Joe, thanks again for coming on the show. It has been a pleasure.
Thanks, Adam.